Alright, welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 178. This time reviewing episodes 34 to 41 of Dynaman. 34 to 36 is a three-parter that kind of basically is the groundwork for pretty much the rest of the series. Where we have basically started, because we have General Tor, I think that's his name. Let me see, because they actually have an episode called General Carr. So, he introduced a brand new Eva Beast. The mecha one. Yes, that's basically what he does here, because he basically figured at this point that the previous ones, all failures. So, he creates brand new ones, mixed with metal. And the ones we get for these 7 episodes, we got Missile Crawfish, Guillotine Lizard, Machine Gun Jaguar, Electric Eel, Armor Rose, Laser Hawk, Word Processor Armadillo, and Drill Horse. No, seriously. And the plots of these episodes are so weird. Now, 34 and 35, basically it's revealed that when they try to use the Super Dynamite on these creatures, it doesn't work. Not at all. They try, because they try the best they freaking can, but it doesn't work. So, how do they beat these two monsters? By pure luck. So, they had the missiles, basically just the missile crawler using. Just go back in itself, it goes giant size, beats it up there. In the case of the second one, which is basically the Guillotine Lizard, this one involves basically them looking for this particular mineral that was found by the scientist 5 years before the series. 5 years. And apparently he found it, and apparently, like, as soon as he found it, according to him, he got harassed by weapon manufacturers for a long time. He's like, we like to buy this stuff for you to make freaking guns. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. So he's had to go to hiding with his adorable little girl, and we have this guy called going with him, who turns out to be a freaking robot. By the way, he is played by the future actor who plays Monster. Yes, that who plays him. And this guy is a freaking badass. This guy basically beats the crap out of all the goons so easily. He is very good at his job. Mostly put, he's there to serve as the bodyguard for the father and daughter, and he does a pretty good job with it. Yeah, he throws him around. Well, the guy himself is a freaking wrestler, so of course he basically has like, hey. But sadly enough, the guy passed away at the start of this year. And the people who were in Bioman with him gave a lot of tributes to him. They pay a lot of respect to the guy. The guy is a really class act. A really good job here. Yep, so even after they won the battle, even though they have the Gon sacrifice his heart, still got new heart in place. And like, oh, can we give it to him? He's like, no, we'll find something else. So that we have basically, we try to basically, we got to use this new move called Super Dynamite, which basically involves spinning. Has basically all the 5 Rangers jump up in the air and then grab each other like this, spin around, and that's to beat the monsters. Yep, they do that. And of course, they go giant size somewhat normally anyways. Though Star 37 could be quite interesting. Where when they beat the monster, the ground opens up and the pieces of this creature is brought underground. And then General Carr activates a switch to basically use a beam from their ship they have, and of course make it giant size. We're thinking, wait, didn't he use this very similar technique with Gogo 5? Yes, except that involved basically a robot, a giant size robot version of that made go giant size. It's similar to that. I would say this is probably the first case of having a system thing from the actual main base to make these creatures go giant size. Yeah, I definitely see this was the first this happened. And we also see the ground splitting open. Yeah, apparently that's the effect. And it looks like, though, we watch it closely, it looks like they're to pull it very slowly, and they're set back down very carefully. And it's like this for episode 37. So eventually, after they even move, it becomes basically like we moved before, because the original Super Dynamite became pretty much ineffective. Now, 37 is the debut of a brand new character. Who is the character, might ask? Well, General Zemba. Yep. And she's here with Baga, so basically her bodyguard. Yeah, and at start, basically the first couple episodes she does stuff, but in the case of 39 and 40, she doesn't really do anything at all. No, I'm not kidding about that. She practically does nothing. So they mentioned about something in episode 36 about this millennial cave, and they show it off. Apparently, it's the secret prison of the Salaran people, and she apparently is the only prisoner. What this prison is simply this cave that closes with a door, and there's no food. You get the only water. The only thing you get to drink is there's also barely any water. Basically, whatever drips into the cave itself, that's the only thing you can drink. How long was she there, you might ask? Well, General Znoba, she was there for probably some time. They apparently don't really say exactly like how long that how she was there, but she was probably apparently she had committed treason. By the way, the actress who plays her, let's see, she's only known for this series per se, but she also made appearances in Jock, Battlefield Jason Vulcan, and Gogol 5 as Genta's mom. So yeah, this was technically the last thing she was involved with. If you're curious, how old she's still alive? Yes, she is. She is 70. Let's see, 60, 70. I think she's like 73 right now. Yeah. So I think at the time when this aired, she must have been in her early 30s. I'd say, because it was 84. I'd say she was 35. She looked pretty good for 35. Yep. So, she kind of in a way assumes the prince's position. Now, the general car is still there. By the way, when he goes on the field, he's seen go on the field episode, I think it was 36, I think it was, where you see him wearing a helmet, and apparently he's a respected general, despite the fact he's also the chief scientist. Now, from what I can tell, she is not subserved him as the leader of the army. No, she basically replaces Prince Makito. So apparently she comes in and, of course, introduces her first monster, who is... What was the first monster she had? Her first monster, basically, they used the episode, was Electric Eel. She basically took command of that. Now, you're probably thinking, what was the plot of episode 37? Aside from her debut? Well, trying to find their base. They kind of actually do that in this episode. And fun fact about episode 37, aside from this being her debut, this also is the end of the Invention Center until apparently the final episode of the series. And also the kids who have been appearing constantly since the start of the series, they are basically dropped from the series for quite a while because in story, the war is more serious, Guy Close Center. And my guess is probably the reason why these kids were basically moved to the show, and this is my personal theory. The show is getting darker, so they probably need to have the kids around, possibly. And probably also, maybe they need to give the kids a break. After about 37 straight episodes, they probably need a break, per se. But yeah, no appearance by the kids and stuff on episode. Yep. Though with 38, this one's noteworthy for this. So, Megiddo basically is tasked to get this scientist who created this gas about 50 years pretty much in the series. And you get this, the guy is 75 years old, and he apparently wasted his youth making this damn thing, so he could enjoy himself. But later on, he does enjoy it with Ree, which I do enjoy the fact they did that for him. And even if this was some part of whole war, I'd say, let's say it was 50 years, so let me think here. If it was 40 years ago, it might have been World War II, but I highly doubt it. It may have been not the Russo-Korean War. I'm not sure what war they were talking about. So, yeah, and then, of course, and as it was all failure with this one, Megiddo, here's what happens to him. He gets chained up, and the general walks behind him and chops off his 4 remaining tails and throws in the Millennial Cave. He escapes 2 episodes later. You see him briefly in episode 39 drinking water. This little drop. That's the only thing he can drink. Because there's nothing in that cave. Basically, it's a desolate thing with that cave. And of course, you have it where the general was there. Now, in the case of episode 39, this basically is about, creating more sound. That's basically the plot of this one. Excuse me. The plan is to kidnap mothers who already had children, who have these cute little babies, and have them raise this salmon egg. And here's the thing: the plan is, it's not exactly Team Affiliate per se. It's just as destroyed by the Dynaman by having Red basically find their location and smash all the eggs, which makes them all angry. Interesting idea, but is it all taking over the world, blowing up? No, it's just basically creating more people. And apparently, it's doing this episode. Apparently, by this point, there was about 20% of the Hollow people basically eliminated by this point. Yep. Now, 40 is interesting. It's all causing explosions via a warp processor. So with letter E, boom, boom, blows up. And from this current context, the mass thing, you're like, oh, is this an allegory for the real life stuff with the virus? No. It develops a warp processor, and then eventually, of course, apparently the key to this plan is a little girl who apparently is deaf. Yes, she is deaf. And she's actually a key part of this episode. It's all focused on Dyna Black in this episode, which I thought that was interesting. At first, basically, it was about getting her ball, but no. It had nothing to do with the fact she actually saw the war processor armadillo. And they kidnapped her, and of course, she doesn't enhance it because he didn't know that. And Reed basically points this out, though. She's communicating you via sign language. And especially with the warehouse, of course, that's how they found where she is. They rescue her, and of course, by the end of the episode, she has to have be sort of be like her brother. And, well, he kind of agrees. Good, nice episode. 41. Basically, it has this thing, starts out with these bikers who ransack lab for these engines. And why are they stealing these engines? For Joe Pegasus, because he wants to frickin' fly. No, seriously, that is the plan. And this kid's father gets injured. We don't really see it on screen, but he gets injured. He hates bikers because of it. He's motorcycles, but he does find out about the Black Eagle. Of course, he finds about them. Of course, he gets briefly taken. Like, wait, 2 episodes in a row, we have a kid getting kidnapped, held hostage by the Ranger, by the evil bad guys. Yeah. Now, why does he want to fly? Probably because Construction Tokyo. Who the heck freaking knows? Yes, and here's the thing: when Laserhawk is when he basically goes giant size, we actually see him fight basically in the sky with the Megazord, which is about as like, goes Megazord and it gets knocked down, Dyna jump, and well, gets destroyed anyways. Yep, but yeah, that's pretty much a particular review. Yeah, can you believe I have 10 episodes left to go for this whole series, and then I'm done? Yep, just 10 more left to go for Dynaman. So I'll probably see another review later. Okay, next video. Bye.